Hey, Scarlett, it's Mr. Short. Okay, so I'm going to go over the Dancing Queen and continue from where we left off in our lesson yesterday. And this video should be everything you need so that you can prepare and hopefully you can make the time to learn everything, and you should be in pretty good shape for next lesson and be able to play this with the band for the recital. Okay, so I'm going to recap what we went over in the lesson. So this is on the first page, going over the intro. So remember that you are playing E and C sharp, and then you're going to go D and B, and then up to F sharp and D. Okay, those are your first three. Okay, then on the next part, you're going to go like this. So you don't have to play the sixths on that part with every note. Like, you don't have to go, because that's pretty hard at that speed. So you could just go like that, and then D and B, back to E and C sharp. So that whole section was. And then you're going to go up and play C sharp and A. Whenever I give you the 2 notes at a time or 3 notes at a time, I'm always going from the bottom to the top. So remember, C sharp, lower note, A, top note. And then you just do your walk down up here. And remember, that's just walking down in sixths in the scale. Okay? And these notes are written on the paper just like we're going to play them. And before I go on to the next part, I'm just going to quickly remind you that you should really warm up when you do this by reviewing your A major scale. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. And remember what the 3 sharps are in the key, because you don't really use anything outside of those for most of the song. All right, so then after that first row, you're just going to repeat everything, but it's going to end differently. So the second time around, you're going to do. And then we're going to go down and play the, what is it? There we go, yeah. You're just going to play like the D chord and then the A chord in the inversion of C sharp, E, and A. Back to the D chord, like that. Okay, so it makes a little more sense when you add the left hand into that part, because you're going to go. All right, you did really good with that in the lesson yesterday, so I don't think that should be too much trouble. All right, now the left hand for all of what I just showed you is just the octaves on the A's, okay? So that's the, not the lowest key on the piano, but the next A and the A above that. So I'll put together everything I just went over, and then you can pause and practice all of it. And then you go into the verse from there. Okay, so on the verse, the first verse you're going to play it down here so that your middle finger is on C sharp right next to middle C. And by the way, we're skipping the second half of the first page just to shorten the arrangement a little bit. After we do the first 2 rows of the first page, we're going to flip over to where Friday Nights and the Lights Are Low is. All right, so we're playing that part, and basically, I'll show you what we're playing for Friday Nights and the Lights Are Low. So this was really easy for you yesterday. You're going to basically be in A position right here, and the melody is C sharp, and then it goes up to the F sharp there, and you're just going to play the A with your thumb, and you can kind of hit it either just on the first time or wherever you feel. It doesn't really matter all that much. Okay, so I just kind of randomly hit it just to fill in and make it sound more full. When you go to the F sharp on the word low, you can play the D with your middle finger so that you're playing a full chord on that. That's A, D, C, and F sharp. So that would be, okay? And then your left hand's just playing the A octave for that. All right, now you're gonna quickly jump all the way up to this higher F sharp to do the little pattern that goes. Now, yesterday, I think I made a little mistake and I had you playing this part an octave higher. So it was much closer to where this little pattern is. But I'd like you to try to play the first part lower and then go up to that. So that will be a quick jump like this. And then you're gonna come all the way back down for looking out for a place to go, which is almost the same. But then when you get to the word go, it's really easy. You're just gonna play A and C sharp for go, okay? And that's on the 4th beat of the measure, so right after you play that, then you drop down to the F sharp octave with your left hand. Don't do it on the word go, but right after the word go. So that's like, looking out for a place to go, F sharp, 2, 3. All right? So you might want to pause and practice that. I'll play it once for you, and then you can pause and practice. My bad. I'm gonna go from Friday Nights and the Lights Are Low. All right, so pause and practice that. When you put it all together, you do find that those parts come by really fast. That's what I was talking about yesterday, that you just need to practice being like super ready because they come by quick. All right, so now that you've practiced that part, after the F sharp, you hold that for 2, 3, and then you've got where they play the right music. If you look at your sheet, we're gonna do that part. So that's gonna be, all right. So the first 3 notes, just like they're written on your paper, C sharp, E, A, and then where they play the right music, you're gonna have your thumb on G sharp for the harmony note below the melody. Where they play the right, on music, your thumb is gonna go to an A, music. All right, so that's pretty easy. Where they play the right music. And most of the time, you can look at, by the way, the very top staff in your music, the vocal part. You can always see the melody written there. And then with this video, you can know which notes to place below it. That's probably a little bit easier than reading the right hand of the piano part, because in that they have a lot of chords with more than 2 notes, and that may be a little more confusing when you're trying to read through it. So I suggest looking at the vocal part. But yeah, where they play the right music. And then in the left hand, you're just doing an E for that when you get to the word where. So, where they play the right music. And then getting in the swing, same thing, getting in the swing. All right, then you come to look for a king is gonna be B, A, G sharp. I suggest doing 2, 1, 3. And then that brings you down to the E position in your right hand. And you're just gonna play E, F sharp, and your left hand's gonna follow that with the octaves. E, F sharp, F sharp. Then you're going to play the same thing again, but with the full chords. And that's gonna be, in the left hand, E to F sharp, but in the right hand, G sharp, B and E to A, C sharp, F sharp. Those are inversions of the E major chord and then the F sharp minor chord. So that would be like, all right? So I'm gonna go back now and recap that, and then you can pause and practice. So after you had hit your F sharp, looking out for a place to go, F sharp, 2, 3, and then where they play the right music, getting in the swing, you come to already? Now you can pause and practice that. Okay, now that you've practiced that, we just finished up You Come to Look for a King. We're moving on to verse 2. Anybody could be that guy. So what you're going to do on this part is your right hand's going to move up an octave higher, and you're going to play that up here so that you're at the A above middle C. But it's mostly the same thing there, the way it starts out. But then you have that high note on A, that guy. So when you go up to that A, you just reach up there with your pinky. And then on the word guy, you can play D and F sharp. Okay, so that is a quick jump up to that A, so you'll need to make sure you practice that and get good at that target practice on that. Now the nice thing is now you're right in the position for the little pattern. And the left hand, just like before, is just an A octave. So I'll play that part. Okay, you might want to pause and practice that. And then the next part of that verse, you're just going right back down to the A position and playing Night is Young and the Music's High. Now, what I think sounds nice on here is they do that, night is young and the music's high. They do that slide on there. So this isn't written in the music, but you can do it like this. You can go, okay, that's night is young and the music's. And then when you get to the word high, you can play A and B, and then C sharp. And then when you do that with the left hand, it's like, all right, that's how that sounds. Of course, the left hand goes to the F sharp octave on that. Now, if you don't like the sound of that, you can always just play C sharp and A like you did the first time around, which would be... But the rhythm is a little bit different this time because the word high, you wait until the beginning of the next measure to play that, whereas the first time around we went and played the notes on the fourth beat, then played the F sharp in the left hand. This time, both of them come on the first beat of that next measure. So I do think it sounds nice to play the B, C sharp. So, night is young and the music's high. Okay? And then we're not going to play any fill after that. And again, you might want to practice. I'm going to give you Anybody Could Be That Guy and Night is Young as the Music's High together, okay? So... back down here. Okay. And then now the other time we had that we had that little fill, but we don't have that this time. So after you've practiced that part, we're going to go with a bit of rock music, okay? And that's just going to be like before. The melody is B, 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 C sharp, and you're going to put your thumb on G sharp below that. Your thumb's going to go from G sharp to A below the melody. And then the left hand is just an E octave. And then everything is fine, same thing. Okay, now next is You're in the Mood for a Dance. We're going to play this just like the first time around, except we're up an octave higher right here. Okay, so... and then we're going to actually... I have to pause and think for 1 second. After you do that... oh yeah, you're going to drop down to the chord. Remember, the last time we were an octave lower, so we went... and then we had to go up to the chord. This time, because we're starting an octave higher, after we play, we're going to go down to the chord. Same chord as before, but we just have to move down to it. And that's just like it was before. So I'll just play it. You already know what it is. Okay? Okay, so now we're just going to go into the right before the chorus, which is and when you get the chance. This is at the bottom of page 3. So we just finished up doing you're in the mood for a dance, and then you do. Okay, now right after you do that, we're going to jump up to the A above middle C rather quickly. So, because then you're going to go, and when you, all right, so that's a quick jump, but not that hard. And when you, it just comes quickly. All right, now then when you play Get the Chance, if you look at your paper, the chord is a B minor 7, so we're just going to play the octave of B in the left hand. Okay. And in the right hand, real easy, the melody is C sharp, D, D, and we're just going to put an A below that because that blends with the melody nicely. And at the very end of that measure, there's a C sharp, which flows you into the beginning of the 4th page, which is a B. So that melody, and when you get the chance, and when you play that B on the 4th page, make sure to play a G sharp below that. So that would be, and when you get the chance. Okay, and then also switch to the E octave in your left hand because the chord is E for that. So, and when you get the chance. All right, that's how that part goes there. You can pause and practice that. Now, next, we go into the chorus. You are the dancing queen, okay? So we just finished up, get, and when you get the chance. Now we're gonna go up higher. You are the, okay? So that's just E, F sharp, G. And then our melody is G sharp, A, A. Now we're gonna put a chord below that, okay? So I suggest playing the E, F sharp, G sharp with 2, 3, 4, because the chord you're gonna play for the dancing queen words is gonna be C sharp, E, and G sharp. And your melody is the G sharp, dancing queen. And below that you have C sharp and E, which are part of the A chord. So that's, and you can hit those on every time, so it's nice and strong. Your bass note's just an A octave for that. So you are the dancing queen. All right. Now Young and Sweet, only 17. When we play Young and Sweet, we're gonna switch to D and F sharp for our chord. Our melody is still G sharp, A, B, A. We do have to reach up to that B, but again, the melody, the harmony below that's just D and F sharp. Okay, when you put that all together, it sounds like, it sounds a little awkward in the beginning because those notes are crunched together, and it's a little weird feeling to play this, so you will have to kind of get used to that. Now, even though you're in the D position for that part, which would put you to play that with like 1, 3, and 4 like this, if you feel more comfortable, you could reach up and play the F sharp and the G sharp with fingers 2 and 3. And that way you don't have to like move to get to the B up top. So either way, whatever you're comfortable with on that. And then when you get to 17, you're gonna go back to the chord you were on right before that. Okay, which is C sharp and E below the melody, okay? So I'll say that one more time. Remember, you have your melody, and then below the melody on Dancing Queen is a C sharp and an E. Below the melody on Young and Sweet Only is D and F sharp, and then 17, you go back to the C sharp and the E. All right, so you are the dancing queen. Young and sweet only, 17. Your bass notes are just A's for all of that. So it's mainly all the work is in your right hand. You are the, my bad. Okay. So after you play 17, we're going to do the little part from the intro right there. So you already know how to play that part, and you're right in position for that. So after we play 17, you're right there, and you just do da-da, da-da, da-da. And still your left hand just on A. So putting the whole first part of that chorus together, you got, you are the dancing queen, young and sweet, only 17. All right, you might want to pause and practice all of that. And now the second part of that chorus, we're back at Dancing Queen. We're going to go up and play it the same way as the first time. And then feel the beat from the tambourine. We're going to play that like this. So the same way as the first time. Now, something changes here, and that's because feel the beat from the tambourine on the word tambourine, where melody's going from B to C sharp up higher. So okay, I had to think there for a second. That's why I was, if it sounded a little confusing. So, all right. So we just had Dancing Queen, and then feel the beat from the, and then I'll show you the change. Feel the beat from the. Now what we want to do is play our melody, tambourine, oh yeah. And then below that, all we're doing is playing an E with our thumb. So tambourine, oh yeah. All right. Again, this melody is written on the paper, so all I'm showing you is that you can play that the E below that, and you can hit it just like I did there or wherever you feel it. Okay. And now in your left hand, this is probably the most movement you do in the left hand the whole time. On tambourine, if you look at your paper, you see that you have A on tam. And then on the O, on the fourth beat of that measure, you just move down to G sharp. And then on yeah, F sharp. After that, E. And then the next line just starts with another E. So that's a walk down. A, G sharp, F sharp, E, and then E to start the next row. All right, and you can see on your sheet where exactly you play each one of those. You play the A on tambourine, G sharp on O, F sharp on yeah, and then E. And then you repeat the E as you start the next part. Okay, so that had a lot of stuff in it, so I'm gonna recap the second half of that chorus there. Dancing Queen, feel the beat from the tambourine, oh yeah. Okay, we have Dancing Queen, feel the beat from the tambourine, oh yeah. So definitely pause, practice that before moving on to the next part. Okay, so now we're on chorus part 2, which is the last row of page 4. You can dance, you can jive. All right, so on this part, we're going to be playing, we just came out of oh yeah. Okay, so we're on chorus part 2, you can dance, you can jive. So you just finished up doing yeah, oh yeah. All right, now you're gonna drop down for this part and play. All right, so your thumb is on the E above middle C right there. Your melody is C sharp, D, B. And this part, I'm playing pretty much exactly what the piano part is in the music, so you can always reference that, but it's E, G sharp on the bottom, and you're just playing the melody on the top. Okay, that's for You Can Dance. And your left hand is E. Okay, now you can jive is the same thing, except your thumb is going to move to an F. And then you have the extra note at the end of that. You can jive. And the bass note is C sharp. We can play a really low one, and that'll sound really nice, big, and full on the piano. And then, having the time of your life, your left hand is just going to go up to an F sharp octave, and your right hand is going to basically be in the same position. Okay, your melody is having the time of your, that's all right there, G sharp, A, B, or A, B, G sharp, A, B, G sharp, just like it's written. And we're just going to play an F sharp with our thumb below that. Okay, it's not that hard, a little squashed feeling because of the way your thumb has to be on that black key, but that's just having the time of your, okay? And then for life, your left hand is going to go down to a D sharp octave. If you look at the chord, it's B7/D sharp, so D sharp is our bass note. Your right hand melody is A, G sharp, F. And we're just going to play an F sharp with that on the first beat. So just on the first note of that, we play the double notes, and then just G sharp, F sharp, like that. All right, now I'm gonna go back real quick. You can dance, bass notes in E, chord is E, G sharp, and then the melody is on top. You can dance. Next, bass notes C sharp, chord is F and G sharp, and then you play your melody on top. You can jive. Next, having the time of your left hand is F sharp. Right hand, you're just playing one note below the melody, and that's the F sharp. And then life, bass note goes down to D sharp, and then life, you're just playing an F sharp below the melody. So I would practice, pause and practice that. Okay, next is ooh, yeah, see that girl. Okay, so we just finished up doing life. And then we just have C sharp, B, A, and you don't have to play any other notes with that. So life, those just by themselves. And then See That Girl. This is going to be similar to what we did in the chorus, but when we were earlier on, we were up an octave higher. Now we're going to be here, but it's basically the melody G sharp, A, and we're playing a D and an F sharp below that. Okay? And then your bass note's just a D. And then watch that scene. Bass note's a B. We'll go up to a B so we don't play the super low one. And that's the same exact thing as what we did on See That Girl. So even though the chord's a B minor, the notes still work the same. All right, for Watch That Scene. And then dig in the, nothing changes in the left hand, and we can play the melody B, A, G sharp, and we can still play the D with our thumb below that. So basically all we're really doing in this part, for the most part, is playing a D and an F sharp beneath the melody. For See That Girl, Watch That Scene, dig in the. So See That Girl, up to B. Okay, and then we're gonna be on Dancing Queen. Our left hand is gonna go back to A. And we're just gonna adjust our right hand position. Our melody is G sharp, A, but we want to play the C sharp and the E below that. So we've done this before in the song, Dancing Queen. Okay, and this is the last section of the song. You might want to practice the See That Girl part, so I'll recap that from Ooh, See That Girl. Ooh, see that girl. watch that scene, dig in the, and then dancing queen. Okay, so when you play that dancing queen, it basically starts the very end of everything. And what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna go dancing queen, and then repeat, dig in the dancing queen. And then the next repeat, we're gonna go an octave higher. And then we just play the left and the right hand together. So let me just review what we're doing there for the end. So when you start that last dancing queen, what you can do is you can play the thumb of your left hand, and then kind of like the intro, you're gonna play that D chord. So dancing queen, and then dig in the. When you play this dig in the, you can just play the notes single, B, A, G sharp, and then dancing queen again. And then repeat the thumb and then the D chord, move up an octave, do dig in the. And then when you play this last dancing queen, just hit the left hand on both beats, or all three beats like that. Okay, so if we back up to the See That Girl from before, it's see that girl, watch that scene, dig in the dancing queen. 2, 3, dig in the dancing queen. 2, 3, dig in the dancing queen. And that's how we'll end it. All right, so I know that video is kind of long, but it's meant so that you can kind of watch each part, pause, practice, and along with that, in your sheet music, hopefully by the end of our next lesson, you have a great idea of how everything's gonna go, and then it's just gonna be kind of getting quick enough at everything and the flow. So, all right, hope that helps. See you next week.